I didn't have an exception last time either.
All set?
Dennis
20
doesn't have an
seconds, he
exception.
said.
20 seconds, okay.
And he just said the reminder to
Did you
talk
pass
into
over
the
bridge?
microphone.
No, I already
Okay. I think my voice carries. Are we on? We're on. Good evening. Welcome to the Conservation Commission's meeting of Monday, August 10th, 2020. Meeting is recorded, televised, and streamed on Foxborough Cable Access with remote participation via Zoom per Governor Baker's COVID-19 social distancing guidelines. A limited number of attendees will be allowed per discussion, so plan accordingly. So therefore, I'll open the meeting and do it at 7 o'clock. Do we have any public comments? Just getting set to zoom in. Good evening, Judy.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, we got a couple of minutes. Jim, do you have any minutes you want to?
Yeah, I received the 29th, and those were reviewed by Jane, which she sent along with the agenda. And I've looked through them. I don't have any additional changes.
The June 29th?
Yeah,
Okay.
those are the only ones I reviewed that would be up for approval.
Okay.
Any comments on the June 29th minutes?
I have none.
Judy, June 29th
I
minutes?
reviewed them. I don't have any comments.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for June 29.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
None? Okay.
That's it.
I got a couple of minutes. What's this certificate of compliance for Catherine Road?
This is, they're selling the house, so we went back into the files, and there was, of course, a certificate of compliance issued in 2004, but they didn't bother to send it to the registry, I guess. So it's administrative. It just has to be re-signed
Okay.
on a new form. So you guys just want to vote it and sign it. That would be
Right.
fine.
Make a motion to issue a COC,
It was for a pool. It's been there since 1988.
okay,
so.
for 8 Catherine Road, DEP 157-294.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Judy, you all set with it?
All set.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay. I've got 705. Everybody agree to 705? We have MBTA right-of-way within Foxborough, and I'll read the pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Foxborough's Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267. The Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, August 10th, 2020 at 7:05 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, on a request for determination of applicability filed by Clary Cotu, Keolis Commuter Services, to allow vegetation management, control, and maintenance on the railroad right-of-way within Foxborough within 100 feet of a wetland resource area. The application is available for public inspection at Conservation Office, Town Hall, Monday through Thursday, 9 to 4 p.m. And I guess they're not sending in a representative, so they've sent a letter on behalf of the Mass Bay Transportation Authority, MBTA, and Keolis Commuter Services, LLC, owner and operator of the commuter rail passenger service in Massachusetts. FDCE Engineers is submitting the enclosed request for determination for the review of the wetland maps along the railroad right-of-way within your community as part of the renewal of 5-year vegetation management program. Keolis is obligated under federal regulation to implement controls for vegetation along the railroad right-of-way under the jurisdiction of the Rights-of-Way Management Program. I won't read all the details. Keolis implements a vegetation management plan approved every 5 years by the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources in consultation with multi-agency advisory council, including Mass Department of Environmental Protection. The objective of the VMP is to eliminate, control, and manage vegetation along the right-of-way that represents any real or potential condition that could cause injury, illness, or death, damage to or loss of the facilities, equipment, rolling stock, or infrastructure of a public transportation system, or damage to the environment as required by the Federal Transit Administration and Federal Railroad Administration to ensure safe operations, and in doing so, ensure the protection of the general interest of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. By way of background, the final rights-of-way management regulation effective since 1987 was the result of an extensive review initiated by the Department of Food and Agriculture in consultation with the Technical Advisory Task Force of environmentalists, state agencies, and rights-of-way managers who assisted in the General Environment Impact Report preparation. Based on results of the study, they recommended to the Secretary of Environmental Affairs a framework for a coherent, statewide rights-of-way regulatory program. During the GEIR, was the General Environmental Impact Report process, Mass DEP and DFA, now MDAR, work closely to include provisions which give maximum protection for water supplies and provide protection for wetlands as prescribed within Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and 310 CMR 10. Specifically, the rights-of-way management regulations presume that work performed in accordance with the VMP and the YOP, the Yearly Operational Plan, as required under the 333 CMR 11 regulations, will not alter an area subject to protection under Mass General Laws, Section 131. In 2016, your commission approved the attached wetlands map for this section of land adjacent to the railroad right-of-way. The determination that was issued has allowed for vegetation management activities over the past 5 years in accordance with the 333 CMR 11 and its associated vegetation management plan. Each year since the determination was issued, you have been supplied with Keolis's yearly operational plan and right-of-way maps, including the wetlands locations and sensitive receptors. Keolis is currently in the process of renewing the 5-year VMP that will expire on December 31, 2020. In accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act, RDAs issued for work conforming to 333 CMR 11 are in effect for the 5-year life of the VMP and must be renewed with the VMP. Accordingly, enclosed, please find the RDA to renew the wetland maps along the right-of-way in your municipality. The enclosed maps represent the location of the permanent marking setbacks prescribed by 333 CMR 11 to protect the resources in your community. There are no proposed changes to the existing maps and permanent markings in the field from the previous filing. The maps included in the filing are provided in USGS 1.25 as required by 333 CMR 11-2. The maps have been revised to reflect the latest revisions to all surface drinking water supply zones as identified on maps as supplied by MassGIS. The safety of employees, passengers, and neighboring communities is of high priority. Nonetheless, while the VMP railroad maintenance activities objective is to eliminate, control, and manage vegetation along the rail right-of-way, these maintenance activities are executed with consideration of neighboring communities and the environment. To review the vegetation management plan for the period of 2021 to 2025, please visit In the interest of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the review of the enclosed RDA, please consider the following negative determination on WPA Form 2. Number 2, determination the work described in the request is within an area subject to protection under the Act, but will not remove, fill, dredge, or alter that area. Therefore, said work does not require filing of a notice of intent. Or number 5, determination citing as exemption 310 CMR activities conducted to maintain, repair, or replace, but not substantially change or enlarge an existing and lawfully located structure or facility used in the service of the public. If you have any questions, do not hesitate. That being said, they've enclosed the maps, and we've approved the wetlands borders before. So the only question I have, Diana, do you know if we're supposed to use number 2 or number 5?
I don't know, I checked them both.
Oh, okay. It says or.
Yeah, the signature page is separate, so if that needs to be updated,
Okay.
I think I'll leave it for Jane when she
Okay.
comes back.
All right. Someone want to make a motion for negative determination?
Diana, the copies that we got, no one signed them. The applicant didn't sign them.
Sign them?
No, it didn't sign the
Oh.
request.
Oh.
Nor the representative, the engineers that most likely will sign them.
Oh, yeah.
Oops.
Sometimes they sign them electronically. Is it in that original one, Bob?
There are no signatures.
I guess I could inquire if she wants to.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if we can really accept it if it's not signed.
Good point.
That is a good point.
Bob,
Yes, Judy?
the other thing is Jane in her manager's report said that in some areas, the west side only, she says the east side should also be included. I'm not quite sure what that means, but it's something, since Jane had that in her manager's report, that
Okay.
If you look on the two maps that they supplied, what Judy said, they have these no spray west side only, but on the other side, you have wethers or a stream or something like that also.
Okay. There's, yeah, they have about 4 different indications that they're no spray west side only.
The shaded areas, based on the map, over the railroad tracks is where they're spraying. The blank white areas, it says there's no spray zone, so the way these arrows point is that in those no spray zones, it's only on the west side.
Yeah. Since this is a determination, can we continue it? No. I can't wait.
Let's see why we can't.
Okay.
We can always say we need more information.
Yeah, okay,
It's
since they
still-
did sign it.
But they didn't sign it, so there's no certification.
Yeah,
What
okay,
they've submitted is true and accurate.
yep, okay,
So they actually didn't submit it, so we
It's
really
a-
haven't opened a,
yep. Improperly submitted.
yeah.
And we do it for regular
So
people,
it's actually not continued because it hasn't been fully,
Yeah,
the application hasn't been fully
Okay.
submitted.
all right, sounds good to me.
Bump it to next.
Bump it to next.
maybe we should also ask, explain about the east side,
Yeah,
west side.
at the same
question.
time,
So
we'll
Jane
get
can
that
take care of it,
information.
Yeah. When she gets back.
So it will be postponed until our next meeting.
All right. I'll email them, I guess.
Okay, and Jane should be back, she's just gone 1 week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she'll be back
so-
next Monday.
Okay. All right. So they failed. All right. Being 7:10. Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Foxborough's Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Conservation Commission will open a public hearing on Monday, August 10th, 2020, at 7:10 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, on a notice of intent filed by Sergei Yudin for the construction of attached garage at 67 Ridge Road, Assessor's Map 35, Parcel 841. Proportions of the proposed work lie within 100 feet of a resource area. Application is available for public inspection in the Conservation Office at Town Hall Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Want to come on up and...
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Roman Yudin. Just to introduce myself, I'm the son of Sergei Yudin, and we all currently reside at 67 Ridge Road.
Sorry, use the mic because...
My apologies.
can't-
My name is Roman Yudin. I reside at 67 Ridge Road. I'm the son of Sergei Yudin, and we all currently reside there as a multi-generational household.
Okay. Now, I know Jane and I were out. Did anybody else get a chance to look at the site? Okay.
I did not.
We have several questions. Now, have you considered, I know you've talked to the Board of Health,
That is correct.
and I talked to her as well. And what did she say about moving the whole thing forward from your original plan?
We don't have a lot of wiggle room there. The setback rules without asking for a variance are 10 feet, and we're pretty much right at that, within about 1.5 feet. If we do move it forward, we're going to still be tight because in order to keep that boat dock access going down where it is now on that impervious surface,
Yeah.
bumping it forward, we just have to bump it out further to the east, and that's going to run into the same tight issue. So either or, we're going to be right up against that 25-foot do not disturb zone. We've taken great measures. I actually brought a larger plan, as Jane asked, and I annotated on it where the footers are. When we
Okay.
designed it with the engineers and with the architecture, we're doing a slab where we'd like to do a slab on grade, and the way that we designed the footers for the slab, we have them set even further away from the water line, so that way we don't have to do any intrusive digging right up on that 25-foot do not disturb zone. I can submit this for the record, and you guys can take
Okay.
hold on to that. And I annotated where the footers on this are, and we have the detailed architectural plans as well that I can submit.
Okay.
Anybody have the original notice of intent?
It's
Because there's a
probably-
map that shows that detail in smaller scale, but it shows the detail.
Yeah. I've got my copy that I went out and looked at. Let me see that one, if you would.
I got one extra.
Oh, yeah.
Come around, is that appropriate?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, you locate, okay, your septic tank is not where you thought it was.
No, it's right up there.
Yeah. Okay, now,
Our concern from the engineer was, from the architect, was that if we bump forward to even by a few feet, if during the process, even if we were given a variance by a foot or two, if we, for whatever reason, jeopardize the structural integrity of that tank, it'll end up costing more money, but it'll also have a bigger impact on the environment, which we've tried very hard to minimize, which is also part of our restoration plan to take some of the impervious areas and bring them up to, local vegetation standards. We're not developers, so if I don't use the right vernacular, I apologize.
Yeah.
This is just a family house that we're trying to improve, so we don't even do vista pruning. Like, we like the privacy and we like the native vegetation there, so we've put a lot of thought into it.
okay. What that plan doesn't show is, now, when Jane were out, and I were out there, we were trying to get him to move it forward, and he thought his septic tank was in here. But I see now it's got it located there. And his leaching, his access to the tank is there. So,
I think you have to be 10 feet away from.
yeah, well,
From
I
the-
talked to Board of Health, and they said they could give a variance on the 10 feet, but we thought it went the other way rather than
That way.
that way.
Gotta make sure you don't pave over that.
Yeah,
No, it's under some rose bushes right now. And mulch.
Now, you say in here that there was,
But the Board of Health says that they would be willing to grant a variance
a variance,
if they move this forward.
yeah.
But he's saying that
Well, they're concerned about I guess hitting
moving this,
well, no, not
just moving this
Yeah,
further
but-
forward and,
yeah,
okay.
because you can't move it this way because you go into the 25-foot area.
Right.
That's why we also had the overhang design, which is going to cost us more on the construction of it, but we're using a metal beam on the front to support the garage opening and the overhang portion to match the backside of the aesthetics, so not to alter the view of the house, is using, I'm not sure what the architectural or engineering term for it, but it's a post that comes diagonally in order to support that extra 4 feet, so that way we don't even have to do a post, which would be significantly less expensive, because that would interfere with the 25-foot do not disturb. So when we designed the footers with them, it's coming in at an angle to support it so it's structurally sound, but the material we have to use in the post that's being put in was more complicated in order specifically to avoid that issue, so we do not even have to ask to go within the 25 feet.
So you're not going in, even though all that's going into the 25 is the overhang. The structure itself is hanging over into the 25.
Correct,
But there's
and
no
just in that corner,
impacts to
correct.
the actual 25-foot.
Correct.
but what they didn't file for was this concrete pad out in here and this one out in here.
Sorry, thank you.
When were these put? Are those existing? now?
Yeah, they're existing now, I don't know. But this is a drive-through garage, so he can get his
Like a boat pulling it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you use the same existing ramp and just drive right through.
Yeah.
You know,
So, and
drive through was.
And the purpose, just to elaborate a little bit on the history here. So I've been gone with my wife and kid. Well, kids are relatively new, but I've personally been gone from that house for about 15 years since they bought it. The impervious surfaces around the dock area were there. The developer that sold my parents that house, Frank, I think was his name, he had installed the impervious surfaces by the water. He installed that overhanging and intruding deck to begin with. So that was not something that our family had done to begin with. And then since I've come back, the goal is, since my parents are getting older, is to all live together. They're getting ready to retire. They're probably going to be traveling. So just with today's market, it makes more sense. And I'd like to come back to town with my kids now and raise them here as well. So the purpose of the garage is not just the boat garage, but, my wife and kids to use the garage, so my parents can use the garage. And then the above the space area is storage, because there's just too many of us in the house.
So one of your maps that was included here says filtered rain and rain garden areas for restoration, past addition?
So when I spoke with Jane, when they were out on Friday, the drainage doesn't work the way that I was thinking it to do, and they recommended some alternatives. On the bigger plan, I've incorporated what they've suggested in terms of plant life and how to do the rain garden without having to do the drainage. In the front of the garage and in the back of the garage, when I spoke to our architect, there's going to be a channel that's in front of it and behind it that'll allow the filtered water, the rainwater, to come down through a gutter stream and filter out east into the wetlands.
Okay.
So that way it doesn't go directly into the lake.
That's good.
That's the next door, yeah. There's, out of this common driveway coming off of Ridge Road, is there 2 or 3 houses off of that same driveway?
Just two.
Just 2, okay.
Yeah, I see.
Okay. So, yeah, so he's going to put in the rain gardens here, kind of a mitigate, yeah.
What was Jane's thought?
Well, we were hoping that after talking to the Board of Health, he would be able to move it forward.
But we can't because of that.
Yeah,
It's like the previous owner.
and so we didn't know
Did a lot of activities without.
the location of that, so,
This is the 25-foot?
yep.
Construction out there.
Excuse me.
So the overhang, this is a cantilever
Right.
overhang that's,
Maybe it's,
Yeah, that solid red line is like just inside the 25?
yep.
do we have administrative things that need to be done before you can,
Oh, you can't do anything on this, there's no number,
okay.
no DEP number. And did you read her report?
Judy, do you
Yeah.
have any
Yeah.
comments?
There's a list of things.
To fill in before we,
Oh, she can't hear me because I'm not.
No, I can.
Oh,
I looked on aerial photos. So a lot of work has been done on the site.
yes.
Jane says we don't have any permits for it. So it looks like the decks went in around 2007. And then the pool went in 2007, 2008. There is a pad that went in front, like where the garage is going to be in 2016. The shed there looks like it went in 2018. So I'm concerned that a lot of work has been done on this property and we don't have any permits at all for this work, according to Jane's files. I think that we need to, think about maybe doing an after the fact for this property and come up with some kind of mitigation. I don't know if it's possible to do mitigation. I didn't go out to the site. Those are my thoughts.
Okay, on this latest plan that he just brought in, he does show some areas of rain garden and putting in blueberries and fern and sweet pepper bush in the area behind the house going towards the pool. I don't know if you have that on your plan or not. It's the
I don't have any plan at all.
Okay.
I just feel as though if we're going to consider that as mitigation for all of these alterations to the site within our jurisdiction, we ought to formalize it in some way.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with
That would,
Judy.
that would clear our title issues in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What did
I
you-
mean, there's just been, you go through the Google Earth photos and the site changes every year, every couple years, something else was added.
When did your family take ownership? Did you
So my family took ownership, I believe it was 2004, 2005.
2004,
The
wow.
addition that she's speaking about in 2007, I wasn't there for because I was stationed in California at the time. Was permitted. They did come before the board. They did do an NOI. They had an architect do the plans. So that is, the building commission has that. I started some of my plans off of that. They went in front of the board here for the pool, which was done in 2007, 2008. I remember because my parents were saying that they had designed the pool one way and then the board asked them to switch it just so it was less intrusive, and they did. As far as, I'm sorry, ma'am, what other date did you say?
Oh, I noticed the pad went in, where the garage is going to be, that it looks like a gravel pad. That looks like it went in 2016.
So I know there's gravel there to support the boat going down, just because it's slippery and muddy on that side. There's no pad, it's just loose stone.
Yeah.
Jane was out there with Bob, and they should be able to attest for the fact that there's no pad in that area. It's just loose gravel and mulch and grass, and that's it. As far as the pads that were put in or the deck that was put in, that was all done before my family took ownership, and they've been trying to mitigate it. In fact, my dad was installing, just because he didn't know any better, but he was installing something around the piers to prevent the erosion that had happened from the previous owner with all the work that he did down there. And I know there was a stop
Yeah.
order that you guys had issued, and he had come out and done the research and provided the documents to this committee, showing the environmental impact and its uses. And I know we talked about that with Jane when she was out on Friday, because she was curious what material was used, because you guys did end up approving the work to be finished, because there's other people on the lake that were interested in using it because it was environmentally sustainable. So we've had a lot of cleanup to do because of what was done before we took ownership, but they've been in front of this board at least 3 times for the work that was done. So I'm not sure why the files don't reflect that, but
Thank you for clarifying that. I actually do remember now going out and I do remember that filing coming in to address erosion on those. So I think what we need to do is clean up the files and make sure that we consolidate all these filings, so Jane can find them for this property.
There seems to be a partial, Jane said there was a partial certificate of compliance that was issued. So the commission did something in the past.
Let's see I'm trying to see what the date is on this one. 2015. Wasn't closed till 2018. Okay.
When was the pool work done?
2007, 2008.
That goes back a ways.
The house originally, making me think back here, it was much smaller, and there was this really big kind of wooden barn where the leaching field is, and part of the sale, Frank had was contracted to do the work, and so he said he would take care of all the things necessary before the sale of the house was done. I was gone already at that time, so I don't know the details of it, but I'm happy to do the digging for it because we have no plans on going anywhere else. So
Right. Unfortunately, when you buy a piece of property, if the owner that you buy it from had done work out there, had done activities that weren't permitted, you essentially take ownership of that violation.
I'm understanding that.
So, it appears that there's work that's been done out there.
The electrical.
Whether it was permanent or not, I think it makes sense just to check and to ensure that it was. I think we have a little time here anyways, because personally, I'd like to come out and look at the site. I think there's other things that we need to wait on, like a DEP number hasn't been issued on this. And maybe there's some additional administrative things that need to get done. I don't know. There was some items that Jane mentioned needed to be provided to complete the application.
One of them was a list of abutters.
So the list of abutters and the signatures proof, I turned that in before the
Oh, you
meeting
did?
started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
So
that's taken
just-
care of.
Gave me that.
Good. All right.
So, also Jane says that the partial said that the septic it should be only 2 bedrooms.
Yeah, that I can't speak with. She mentioned that to me. That was from the late or early 90s. So I was in elementary school at the time. I have no idea. My parents didn't even own the house yet for another like 6 or 7 years. I know when we did a Title V inspection, the tank and the leaching field were designed to support 4 bedrooms. I think the house officially is 3 bedrooms. We have like a little den that doesn't have a wall or a closet, so it's still technically 3 bedrooms.
Yep.
But I don't know that particular document, who was the owner. If that's the same person that even sold the house to my parents, it's from the 90s. So I can't speak to that. I'm sorry.
So
Okay, thank you.
You're actually 3 bedrooms?
Yeah, I
then?
just think
Or
that we
4?
need to
No, we're
get
3.
files
3.
organized here for this property. And like Jim said, we have some time.
Yeah, I think the best bet is to continue it till next time.
Yeah.
And so we can get everything, as the old saying goes, get all the Ts crossed and the Is dotted so that we're all on the same page, because we don't want to get into an administrative problem with it.
I have no problem with that. If we can resolve any of the issues that were done by owners past and kind of tighten up and button everything up, it'll only help me in the future if we decide to make any
Fits
further
you.
charges. So,
Okay.
I'd like to get out there too. I don't know if that maybe it's this weekend or next weekend or whatever.
if you'd like, I can send my contact information and pass it along through you, and we can talk by email and schedule something for you to come out, or for any of you guys to come out and walk around the property. And when we started thinking about this plan, I had contacted Jane, and I had pretty much every suggestion that she made, I explored, and the one that we actually settled on with the drive-through garage was Jane's idea.
Yep.
So we didn't have to tear into any of the existing greenery that is left there. So I
Good.
don't have a problem with that.
Good. All right, yeah, do that. We'll then reach out to you and try to find a time that works best
Sounds good.
for everyone.
And you and I could get together.
Yeah.
Maybe get Rich, if he's available on the weekend or something, or someone who's falling asleep at the end there.
No, I'm awake. I'm going away, so don't, yeah, I'm not going to be around on the next, for the next week after Wednesday, so.
Okay.
I think I'd suggest putting a history of what your parents and you have added on to since the time they bought it, so that we have a better idea of what's been done in the 25-foot no activity zone versus the buffer zone. Mm-hmm. It just makes it a little easier in understanding the
Okay.
old files.
I'll speak with my parents and try to put together a list. As far as I'm aware, the addition and the pool went in at the same time, and then the erosion control measures, that was the only thing that my parents did.
Well, it just helps because
Yeah.
Judy seems she's pretty good on looking at all past aerial photos and setting up a timeline. So if we can get a better idea versus that one file. They come in just once, notice of intent, because there's a partial certificate.
Yeah, I
A
don't,
couple of old, they tore down a house and they tore down 2 little houses and rebuilt them. That's the original one.
Is that
That's
before
from
they?
1994.
So that's
That makes sense because whoever owned our 2 homes before, I think was a developer, and he had subdivided the lots, and then did the septic work, and then sold it off to us in 2004. I should say my parents, not me. And then our neighbors, they're also purchased, I think, right around the same time from the same person. I think he actually even owned the third lot they did a prefab little colonial that's, I don't remember their street address, 765. It's like 61 or 63 on the same side of the road. So the way the property kind of looks like a big pizza slice, there's a very small sliver, there's a little prefab as you're driving up, there's 3 mailboxes stacked next to each other. Our shared driveway goes to my parents' home and Bill's home, and then I think he owned all 3 lots, and so I'm not sure what trickery he did to get things accomplished back then, but I think I'm paying the price for it a little bit today.
So is your neighbor Horrence Jones?
I'm sorry?
Is one of your neighbors Horrence Jones?
That
No,
name
that's
doesn't sound familiar to me, no.
That's, oh, okay.
All right, I'll make a
Wrong one.
motion to continue to I think to the 24th of
Yeah.
August.
We are up to, let's see, 7:25.
Okay. Are you giving us enough time in between these, or are you just trying to get them on a schedule?
I do them 5 minutes apart.
Okay. All right. Well,
Somebody called me up today for the zoning board one, and it's like, so you only have 10 minutes? And I'm like, no, I just need to
Yes.
advertise a time.
I yield my time.
All right.
okay, I heard the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second?
Discussion? All in favor of continuing?
Aye.
Aye.
Judy?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Yep.
Good.
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed? None? Can we have this, or?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Want to keep it? Might have been you weren't here, that's why you didn't get one.
thank you. So we will continue it till next meeting then.
Gentlemen, ma'am, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Oops. There it is. We have a continued hearing for Beaumont's Pond Dam, 157596. They've requested a continuance till August 24th. Somebody want to make that motion?
Make that motion.
Here, second.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So
Aye.
they got a DEP number? Because it's,
Yeah, it looks that
Yeah,
way.
they do.
Beaumont Pond? Yeah.
Yeah,
596.
596.
okay, because it wasn't on the agenda.
Okay. My agenda does.
Oh, yes, it was. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, okay.
Who's falling
15.
asleep over there?
Do we, anything else to,
She sent that little list of the lakefront lots. Bill Buckley's already asked for it, so I sent it to him, so I'm sure he'll have comments for Jane.
oh, what's this?
That, it's in the manager's report, that thing about
H3.
redevelopment of lakefront lots on page 3.
Oh, yeah,
That's the one with Forrest Jones, the 54 Neponset Ave, Neponset Heights Ave.
okay.
That, and then the thing about the Boy Scouts using Blueberry Island? Is that
Oh,
what it's
yes.
called?
And that's a definite no?
Even though they've been doing it for,
They haven't been
Decades.
camping on Blueberry Island legally.
No, they haven't been camping on there. They did apparently they did a cleanup activity at one point. Like the scouts went out there and they cleaned a bunch of trash out of there, which Mark was bringing. Mark Trudell is, I think he's the treasurer at this point. His son Jonathan is the scoutmaster. He brought that to the attention. Yeah, I got an earful. Like trying to. I mean, it was nice that they did a Boy Scout project to remove the trash and the pollution and whatnot. So he was just calling that to attention. But to his point, like he remembers, and I remember camping out on the peninsula once upon a time ago.
Okay.
And the requirements, I didn't pull the permit or do any of that stuff, but we had to bring in a porta-john. That was the requirement at that time. So I know that there's been, after the restoration work and other stuff, you know, the peninsulas have now become deemed off limits, and I understand that. That makes sense. His just, I guess, feeling like he's between a rock and a hard place that now with these COVID and like,
Distancing?
yeah, so now like it used to be 2 scouts to a tent. you can put them as close together as you wanted. Right now, they have to be so far apart. The area where we've designated where they can actually go camping now, unfortunately, is, I haven't walked it I know the area kind of where he's talking about, but I can't picture in my brain exactly how much room we have, there is there for them to camp. So it doesn't sound like it's big enough for,
How many people?
they're up to 12 kids, and that's 4 adults, so.
I would think that area is large enough.
Not when you start spreading them out.
They have to be 6 feet apart.
Yeah,
So 10, that's 60, well, actually even more than that, because each tent has probably got about a 2 foot by 4 foot, no, more than that,
At least 4 by 6.
yeah, footprint, so you're talking like 100 feet at least.
okay. It's been, I've been up there, but I haven't tried to measure it, but it was a house lot with,
Yeah.
a yard, fire pit, and, everything is there. I'm surprised they can't get, I don't know.
I mean, if,
I'm not going to argue with him on the size of
Sure,
it,
sure.
but it's seems like they could do that. And I suggested to Jane that maybe they could go there and then to the old campsite where they used closer to the dam, that area that
the
they
field
used.
to the right?
No, not in the field, but up close to the dam. It's just stay on the road, and instead of taking a right to the dam, there was an area to the left that they used to camp
Oh, okay.
If you go up that trail, you'll see a sitting area, and there's
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
campfire there made
Yeah.
of stone.
Right, right.
And it looks out right off that point.
Okay,
Yep, it's a nice spot.
yeah,
So,
So I think between those two places,
I mean,
they,
that's fine.
they should have plenty of room.
Sure. Probably, I think that, I read back through the string, it looked like there were 4 scouts originally in April, right? And then it blossomed into 6, and now it's
More.
summertime, because the scouts need a certain number of nights of camping
Oh, okay.
to advance for each stage that they go through, so now they get more kids like, oh yeah, I need to camp, so
Yeah.
hence the numbers have swelled, so. I would agree with whatever the board thinks in terms of, if we have designated areas, like this is where we think camping should be, then that's fine. I mean,
Yeah. But I think between the two areas, they should be able to get in large enough area. Judy, any comments? Have you been up to?
I've only been out to Blueberry Island once, and it's an awfully pretty island. From what I understand, there was a lot of illegal cutting, and when I was out there, somebody left a fish to, smell up the place. So we had to go on one other side. I'm not quite sure from what I saw that they'd be able to put 16 tents out there without having to remove vegetation. I don't know.
Right, I have no
Blueberry
idea what
Island.
his actual plan was for camping on Blueberry Island. I can't imagine that they would be trying to fit the entire troop out there, because it would be impossible, but as I recall in the past, nothing's allowed on that island. I mean, besides for the sanitary reasons, noise just carries from that island. Everybody who abuts around there, like the noise just goes right across the reservoir.
Oh, yeah.
And people get annoyed about it. Like I've heard stories about kids who are not campers being out there at night and cops saying like,
yeah.
how do we get out there? So,
Yeah.
so like, that makes perfect sense to me. Like Blueberry Island should not be in play at all. So the question is,
Yeah.
I think the
Well,
other people that quote
Been
camp
set
on
on
Blueberry
fire, too.
Island are the people that live on the reservoir.
right.
And they have the boats, you get
Sure,
the access to
sure.
it.
I remember our latrines back in the old days were 5-gallon pails. You had volunteers in the canoe to bring it back.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That island burned a couple times from camping out there.
I'm
Yes.
sure.
Yeah,
One-
sure.
Once it was from the scouts, and there were probably kids
Yep.
around them.
Yeah.
Just for my own, so I understand, so when you're in the parking lot, the new parking lot for the property, there's that open field there. Is that conservation land or no?
Oh, yeah, that's
Oh,
all
yeah.
conservation.
Is that off limits to camping too, or is that,
Well, Lawton cuts the hay there.
okay,
So if you're going to camp, there's a loop, where that last house that was taken down,
Yeah.
Bob.
Yeah,
That's got a fire pit there too.
yeah.
And that area, it's a fairly decent-sized area to,
But
I don't know how suitable it
we're
is.
trying to keep people off of both points
Okay.
for camping.
right.
Originally, we tried to save the house up there on the big point, but the kids, you know, regardless of how we secured it, as Dave Rich would say, you put a bigger lock, they get a bigger sledgehammer. So
Yeah.
they had a fire in the living room, and, you know, things just got out of control. We had to take it down.
I mean, so I
A
think
lot of vegetation cutting has been done on that one side too,
Yes.
I mean, so
unfortunately.
if we need to communicate back that, you know, the area that we've designated is what we have available, and that's what it is, that's what it is, and
I
that's,
think, as I say, I think those two areas there, where we took down the last house, then up where they used to camp, right to the left of the dam. So, anybody have any problems with that?
Nope.
Is that okay with you, Judy?
Yep, I'm all set with
Okay,
that.
good. So we can communicate that to the scouts. You want
probably better that I don't do it, only because
to, okay.
I don't want him, like, you know,
Also,
affiliated with it, he may be, yeah.
okay. Also, stay with my standard, all communication goes through the office, so.
Precisely.
Dinah, would you communicate to the scouts?
So it's the old house lot?
Well, Jane has already designated that. And then the old area to the left of the dam, where they used to camp.
Damn.
And I think on that map, it shows a picnic table there. It's very clear where that is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that in here?
All right, anything else? Judy, you got anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Thank you. Motion to close the meeting?
Do I hear a second?
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night.
Have a good evening.